Hi, my name is Frederick Chipkin. Welcome to my class on photo draping. Photo draping is the art of taking a textile image from your computer and placing it into a scanned image or a photograph. In the first part of this lesson, we're going to be starting out with something basic and place some textile designs into a couple of fashion sketches. Then we're going to place a textile pattern into a body again, but this time we're going to place our design into a fashion photograph. Then we're going to be taking a photograph of an oven mitt and placing a stripe pattern into it, and then we're going to bend that pattern so that it looks more natural. And then finally, we're going to take our newly acquired skills and put them all together, and we're going to photo drape a bed. Before we begin, on this page I provided a link so you can download the practice images that go along with this lesson. So pause the lesson, get your practice images, and we'll continue. Don't forget to save these files to a location on your computer where you can easily find them again. Now on my screen are two fashion sketches that have been hand-drawn on paper and scanned into my computer. If you'd like to follow along, these are among the files that you had previously downloaded called Example 1 Bodies. Before we begin, take note that this file is in RGB color mode. Also take note that all the files that we're going to be working with in this lesson are in RGB color mode. Now, to create mini bodies that are ready to fill with a pattern, one of the things we want is a sketch that's pure black and pure white. As you can see, when we zoom in here, our image looks a little bit blurry. Okay, let's double click the hand tool to zoom out. Now, another thing we want is our sketch to be clean and the lines that contain the textile design to be connected. So in other words, first, we're going to get rid of the blur, then we're going to clean anything that's messy, then we're going to check and make sure that the proper lines in the sketch are connected. Now, the simplest way to get rid of the blurriness is to go to Image, Adjustments, Threshold, click OK, and voila, we have a black and white sketch with no blur. Here, I'll zoom in and show you. See? Not a bit of blur. Let's zoom out a little. And look for an area that needs some cleaning. Let's choose the zoom tool again, and let's start out by cleaning up our sketch over here. Already I can see there are a few things to clean up here. We've got a gap here and a few messy spots over here and here. Okay, let's click here on the foreground color box and choose pure white by clicking on the white from the image. Click OK. Then let's choose the pencil tool and then clean any stray black specks or unwanted lines that may be on the sketch. Okay, I'm going to look around the sketch a little bit more, make sure I clean up all the messy spots. Looks pretty good. Now I'm going to choose the eyedropper tool and select black for the sketch. I'm going to change the pencil tip size to about 4 pixels. And let's clean up the black lines in the garment and make sure that they're all connected. Now, after the sketch is clean, I would suggest going to Image, Adjustments, Threshold, and then click OK. Now, the reason why we went to Threshold once more is just to guarantee that our image is pure black and pure white, and there's no parts of the design that were accidentally blurred while cleaning it. Now, let's save our cleaned up sketch into a folder where we can find it again. Let's go to File, Save As, and let's name it Fashion Sketch Cleaned. And save. Now we're going to color block the body. So let's click on the foreground color box, and in the color picker panel, let's choose a bright color, like a nice bright red. Then click OK. Now let's choose the bucket tool from the toolbox. Make sure that anti-alias is not checked. Contiguous is checked. Opacity is at 100%. And the mode is set to normal. And then I'm filling in the garment on the right with the color I just chose. This filling in with a solid color is called color blocking. Okay, I'm going to quickly save this guy. And let's open up the textile design called Island Flowers V1 from the files that you had previously downloaded. Take note that this design is an RGB color mode, and the resolution is 254 pixels per inch. It has the same resolution as the fashion sketches that we're going to be working with, which, as you can see, is also 254 pixels per inch. As you can see, this textile design is repeated out several times. When working with a fashion sketch, it's a good idea to be working with a very generously sized textile design, such as this one, that will cover the entire segment of the garment that you'll be pasting it into. Now, the textile design that you're working with doesn't necessarily have to be an exact repeat for this technique. It just has to look like it's basically in repeat. Remember, ultimately, we're working on a sketch that's supposed to give you the feel or illusion of what a finished garment should look like. Okay, let me show you something. I'm going to copy and paste this textile image into our window with the sketches. So I go to Select All, Edit Copy, and then I click on the window with the fashion sketches to make it active. Then I go to Edit, Paste. Now I want this image to be large enough so that when I shrink it down, which is usually about 20 to 30% of the original size, that it's larger than the part of the garment that I'm going to be pasting it into. So let's go to Edit, Free Transform. Make sure that the link icon is highlighted here. And when I place my cursor here, it turns into a diagonal double-headed arrow. And then I click down and I drag the image to resize it. Now, I'm going to be doing this a few times to get it down to size, so that it looks like the proper size for the garment. Let's move this here next to the garment. Okay. It looks like shrinking it to about 20% works pretty good with this fashion sketch, so let's hit enter on the keyboard. And on the layers panel, let's drag this layer to the trash. And let's continue. Okay, so let's click on this window with the textile pattern to make it active. Then go to Image, Image Size, and the dialog box which pops up. Make sure the words by cubic shopper are selected over here. And make sure that the width and height are linked and set to %. And there's a check mark next to the word resample. Now the number next to the word width should already be selected. If for some reason it's not selected, then simply swipe over it like so. Then set the width to 20% as I'm doing here. Then click OK. Let's save this image with a different name. Let's name it Island Flowers V1 20%. And save. Then go to Select All, then Edit Copy. Then select the magic wand. Make sure that contiguous is not checked because we're going to be selecting all of the red. And anti-alias is not checked. And tolerance is 0. Now, using the magic wand tool, select the section of the sketch that we had filled with red. Then go to Edit, Paste Special, Paste Into. Now let's select the Move tool. Okay, if you look at the Layers panel, you'll see that the layer with the textile design is the active layer, which means we can click here on the image and adjust the positioning so that the textile design looks a bit better on the sketch. And our first fashion sketch is done. So let's save this file with the name Fashion Sketch User 1. Click Save, and let's move on to the second part of the lesson where I'm going to be showing you how to place a biased pattern into a fashion sketch. Now we're going to start out by color blocking these pajamas. Let's close this, and let's choose the bucket tool, and let's click on the background layer in Layers panel to make it the active layer. And the next thing we're going to do is color block, or in other words, fill in different sections of the pajamas with different colors. So let's click on the foreground color box, and let's choose our first color, which can really be any color. I just happen to be choosing orange here. Click OK. Now let's double check and make sure that contiguous is checked over here and anti-alias is not checked over here. and simply start filling in the pajamas with random colors, the way I'm doing right now. Okay, now that our pajamas are color blocked, let's open the file called FunPlaid V1 from the files that you had previously downloaded. Now we're going to resize this plaid in the exact same way that we resized the flowers for the previous sketch. Keep in mind that we're resizing this plaid so that it's larger than the area of the sketch that we're placing it into. So let's go to Image, Image Size, make sure that bicubic sharper is selected, and let's change the size to 20%, and then click OK. Let's go to File, Save As, and let's name this FunPlaid 20%, and save. Now let's click on Select All, and then Edit Copy. Now let's click on top of the window with the fashion sketches so that it's the active window. Then let's choose the magic wand tool from the toolbar. Note that the subtract from selection option is selected over here. And double check that contiguous is not checked here and anti-alias is not checked here. And then we're going to click on a section of the sketch where we want to place a pattern. Let's start with the sleeve on the right. And then we go to Edit, Paste Special, then over to Paste Into. Now we're going to use the Free Transform function to rotate our pattern within the sketch. So let's go to Edit, and then Free Transform. Note that the interpolation is set to bicubic sharper. Then move the cursor to the edge of the selection until it changes into a curved double arrow shape. Then click down and rotate the plaid. When the angle of the plaid looks good on the sleeve, we simply hit Enter on our keyboard to finish the transformation. After we finish rotating the pattern, we're going to click on the word Background in the Layers panel, and then select another section of the sketch, such as the other sleeve, and we're going to repeat the steps I just showed you. And we're going to keep repeating these steps with the different sections of the garment until the entire garment is filled with the plaid pattern. Okay, looking good. Let's save this. Let's save it as Fashion Sketch V1 and save. If you want to see how I approach this exercise, you can open up the file named Fashion Sketch V1 Sample. It'll be in the same folder that you had downloaded your practice images into. Photo draping is a method of placing a textile pattern into a photograph of a garment or piece of furniture. It's used to get a real, tangible feel of how a finished product or garment will look. It's often used in presentation boards and in catalogs when a finished product is not available to photograph.